Welcome to Gulfstream Park. It is March 1st, 2014. Christina Bosanakis here, and I'm joined by Mike Welsh from the Daily Racing Forum. And we have a lovely day here, and it's kind of like a broken record, but we've been very fortunate in the last little while. Mike, the track is, the weather has been great.
Weather's been beautiful.
Yeah, and how's the track been playing? Because I know you were out this morning.
Same way it's been playing. It's been very, very fast. Speed's been a good thing to have on the main track, and pretty much on the grass too. That, and if you have a horse trained by Mike Maker and ridden by Javier Castellano on the turf, you're usually doing pretty well also. But no, the main track remains fast, and until it changes, you got to really concentrate or lean toward, anyway, horses that are on or near the lead.
So, Mike, this morning, before we get into today's card, we have so much to talk about, but I know that we have the Gulfstream Park Handicap, and that's next weekend, next Saturday, and I know that there were a couple of horses maybe that might be pointing to that race.
Yes, old friend Senor Quiscaeno is ready to come back again, and he had an easy half mile here this morning. He's been breaking watches a little bit on other Saturdays, but this morning, a week before the race, just an easy half mile in hand, always the fast track. And also Golden Ticket, not confirmed yet, but wouldn't be surprised to see him in there. And he also worked this morning and looked good in company. It was kind of a strange work. It was a set of three, and he was just going easily. It was actually set up for CJ's Awesome. If you remember that horse who ran here a few weeks ago, was I think Betty 7-5 or 6-5, and kind of disappointed that day. They put him in behind Golden Ticket and another member of the McPeak Bond, and they waited on him, tried to get him to finish up the rail and beat the two older horses, and he would not go by them. But understandable why a 3-year-old maiden wouldn't go by Golden Ticket.
Yeah, definitely a winner of the Travers, right? It was a dead heat winner of the Travers.
Yes, that was a long time ago now. He's going to be 5 or 6 now. That seems like forever ago. But we also had Cairo Prince worked up at Palmettos today in 59 and change in company with stablemate Long River. And trainer Kieran McLaughlin was extremely pleased with the move. The news yesterday, I don't know if you spoke about it here with Stephen on the set, but Darley, Godolphin, Sheikh Mohammed bought majority share in Cairo Prince, and he will run in the Florida Derby in their silks and in the Kentucky Derby as well if things go okay from now until the first Saturday of May.
Yeah, Darley, Godolphin, and Sheikh Mohammed, all one entity, for those of you who might not be sure. But that is great information. Mike, let's get into today's card. We do have a lot of ground to cover. We do have that Rainbow Six, and there's that carryover. $1.8 million starts in race 6. And we'll kick off with the first race on today's card. It is a maiden special weight event, 1/16 on the turf course. And my top selection in there, I went with number 6, Best Try. Steve Town trains this one, and comes into this off of a 5th place effort, only beaten a length and a half, and that was going 7.5 furlongs here at Gulfstream on February 2nd. But coming into this off of a pretty decent work, I thought. Yeah,
she's working well in the main track. We've always liked this horse, watching her in the morning. She's had 2 races under her belt. I think she was left with a little too much to do last time, and hopefully you'll be a little closer today. Although this race is pretty wide open. I went with the same horse's program, morning line maker Ron Nicoletti, My Cat Lily. This horse didn't make her first start until a 5-year-old, and didn't run too poorly first time out. No doubt this horse was going to be destined to run on the grass with that breeding. Kitten's Joy out of a Danehill mare, and like I said, didn't run badly. Got a little schooling. Actually came inside the tiring leaders at the end and didn't quite outfinish the others closing on the outside. But I thought it was a pretty good first out effort. So trainer Kelly Brinsbaum's been a little bit chilly of late, but hopefully My Cat Lily will get him back on the winning track.
I also used number 3, and that's Make It Anywhere from the Chad Brown barn, and also first time on the turf. And she is a daughter of Empire Maker. The mare is a deputy minister mare. I say yes, I think definitely bred to run on the
And
grass.
She's got some speed, and hopefully or possibly may try to steal this one on the front end, but she hasn't run in a while, so we'll see. Chad usually has him pretty fit, though, and I expect her to run a good race.
Off the layoff, he certainly does. On to the second race, which is a 12.5 maiden claiming event. It is 5.5 furlongs on the main track. And my top pick, I went with number 5, and that's Done One from the Buff Bradley barn. And had a wide post last time, and that was going 6 furlongs here at Gulfstream. And I thought she'd move forward off that effort.
Yeah, you know, this horse dropped down to 12, maiden 12.5, and improved with the class drop. And I was thinking that also may be the case for Carler and me today, who was bet pretty heavy first time, showed a little speed, got in a little trouble, and then kind of just was eased into the wire the last quarter mile when it looked like this horse was going nowhere. Now she drops in for 12.5. I think if she could break with this group, she's going to get the lead. And like I said, speed's good on this track, so maybe she gets the lead. She gets a big heart. I was surprised to see Ronnie made this one the favorite over the 5. We'll see how the betting goes. Maybe the 5 will be the slight choice, but I think the race probably will come down to one of those two. A little bit of a question mark on number 4, Jalise, though. This horse has been training on the farm, so you really don't know what you're getting here. I'd watch the board on this one because every once in a while they'll sneak one in from Ocala. It wouldn't have to be much, certainly, to win off the bench here. So, you know, watch the board. If this horse is taking some action, I'd use her.
And looking on to that race, race 2 kicks off the pick 4. There are 4 on today's card, and I'll just let you know every time we get to one of those. But on to the third race, which is a 7 furlong, a main track event. It is a 75,000 allowance, optional claimer, and my top choice, number 2, Anchored Down, $250,000 for this Keelan September graduate, and he's a 3-year-old colt by Tappet. And Todd Pletcher's has had a lot of Tappets coming through here of late and done well with them. And this one won. This one broke his maiden, I thought, pretty impressively by 2 lengths, and tees a half to a horse named Sweet Lulu. She's a Grade 1 stakes winner. Very, very nice horse, I thought, and training well, Mike.
Yeah, you know, this horse's debut is probably even better than it looks on paper because the horse didn't break well, then had a rush up, race wide, and still won going away, got a pretty good number. The works have been good up at Palmetto's ever since. So I expect Anchor Down will be a very short price in here, but probably if he breaks a little better today, you know, if you don't leave there and you're stepping up in class, now you're really being asked to do a lot. So hopefully he'll get right on the engine and take these all the way. Myositis Dan, I liked him a lot earlier in the meet. He was training fantastic, didn't run that well. Then last time out, I thought he jumped up and ran a huge race, turning back to 6 furlongs and coming off the grass. Now he comes in off a work that wasn't as good as his earlier works, but his afternoon form may just be better off that last race. So if he can repeat his last, he may be the one to beat and fill out the exacta behind the short price Anchor Down. Danza Fatad also has been idle since the Saratoga Special. Ran behind Corfu that day, a stablemate of his. Looks like he's training well. I think he and Anchor Down were actually workmates a couple of times up at Palmetto's, according to Mike Vesci, and looked like Anchor Down got the best of them in those works. And Joe's Gone Wild, if you're also looking for a horse in here to throw in to complete an exacta or a try. This horse has been training well, although I think his future is going to be on the grass.
Yeah, I think so too. And I actually used number 3 Danza as well. He's a half to a nice graded stakes placed horse. And you mentioned finish behind Corfu. Also Wired Brian, and Wired Brian who won the Grade 2 as Sanford. So there's some class there. On to the 4th race on today's card, and we do have. If I can get to the 4th race, Mike. It's a 62.5 allowance optional claiming race. It is 1.16 miles on the main track. We have a couple of scratches, number 1 and number 3. And my top selection, I went with number 2, and I see you did as well, Mike, and that's Tarpey's Surprise. But one of the horses I used in there, Mike, was a number 5. I see you use them in your top selections, and that's Nevada Kid from the Nick Zito barn. Comes into this off of a pretty nice victory in the Claiming Crown Jewel. We can have a look at that race, and seems to set him up well for this race as well.
Yeah, I mean, he got a freshening after this. He earned a big purse that day.
He did.
It was a $200,000 pot, 120 to the winner. He did take advantage, though, of a track that was favoring speed and an inside post. Nick Zito sized this up early in the day, he told me, and he made sure his rider put this horse right on the front, and he was able to ride that track bias to the victory here for the big purse, like I said. But these were claiming crown. These are basically a starter allowance race. He was drifting a little bit at the end too. He's been away since then. Going to be interesting to see how this one sets up. I don't know how to say it. I'll leave that up to you. Made the lead last time when it was an impressive winner coming off a layoff. I don't think he's going to make the lead with Nevada Kid in here. We're going to see if we wind up with a duel. I think all that would help Tarpey Surprise, who was no match for Inawi last time because of the pace scenario, but should get a better setup today. Came back and won impressively off that race. Has worked well since that victory. So I think Tarpey Surprise is sitting on another win with the right pace scenario.
And looking on to the 5th race on the card, it is a 62.5 allowance optional claiming. It is a 1.16 miles on the turf course, and this is another kicks off the second pick 4 of the afternoon. There's a scratch. Number 6, Sustained, and number 3, Glamour and Glory, gets a blinkers on. And Mike, that was a pretty significant scratch for me. That was my top selection until that horse came out. So I ended up with number 1, Bella Castani, but I see that you went with number 5, Mountain of a Filly, CC in Red.
Yeah, I like CC in Red today. Comes off of excellent work. They put a lot of speed into her last time. So maybe she's just going to try to get loose in here and steal this one. Trainer Patricia Farrow won a couple of races last week in similar fashion. So she's going to offer a bit of value in here. Less now that Sustained is out. And Bella Castani is definitely the one to beat. Kind of got checked back and taken to the rear of the pack last time. And made a nice run from there. This filly loves this turf course, so she's going to need a little help up front. If CC in Red gets entertained early, then Bella Castani certainly can come along and pick up all those pieces.
And on to the 6th race on the card. Maiden special weight event. It is a mile on the turf course, and we do have a number 13, Classic Sense, is out, and that race kicks off the 20-cent Rainbow Six, and there we have a carryover, $1.8 million. And my top selection, I see we went in the same direction there, Mike, and that's Notability from the Dale Romans barn, and comes into this off of a 3rd place effort, but that was going 9 furlongs. Now we're cutting back to a mile.
Yeah, that'll help. Last time he chased a horse of Todd Pletcher's called Edison, and I remember talking to jockey Corey Lannery a couple days later, and he said, I thought I had that horse measured every step of the way, and then all of a sudden, the next thing I know, he was pulling away from me. He had another gear left. So today there are no Edisons in here. They're, well, at least on paper. We don't know. There's some first-time starters in here that maybe they are as good as Edison. I'm talking about Zavarian, and then you also have Point Hope for Kieran McLaughlin, who's getting blinkers and LASIK, so he's liable to improve quite a bit in here. But I'm going to give Notability another chance. We'll see if Corey tries to just put him right on the lead this time, or if he'll sit off a couple of the other potential speed types in the race. But Notability's race before that was too good. He's obviously in form right now and sitting on a win at this level, so it just depends on if something else jumps up that, you know, on paper doesn't figure. And that would be the Point Hope, again, getting this full blinker LASIK makeover, or Zavarian, who looks like might be the best of the new faces. This horse is a half 2-3 turf winners.
And looking onto the 7th race on the card, it is another maiden special weight, and this is for 3-year-olds, 6.5 panels on the main track, and kicks off the pick 5. And my top pick in here, I went with number 9, and that's Heyarat, and from the Kieran McLaughlin barn. And I know I'm not supposed to be picking Kieran McLaughlin horses first time off the bench, although his numbers are pretty good. They're almost 20%. And this horse cost $1.65 million at Keeneland September. I was there that day when this horse sold, and not only did he top that session, he was a top-priced yearling for 2012, and he's out of a mare named Mushka. Mushka, she cost $1.6 million as a yearling before bringing over $2 million as a horse of racing age, and really has been training very well. And I don't really mind the 9-hole, Mike.
Yeah, I mind the fact that he has no LASIK, though. That would that would worry me more than a 9-hole. Yeah. 9-hole would be no problem if he's got a little speed, because he'll be out there just stalking the leaders. And again, I don't know what to do with him. You know, I haven't seen him train. I've got good reports on both on this horse, but I have seen One Tango Charlie train. This horse ran once at Churchill at an outside post, didn't run very much, but since he's been here, he's been a different horse, training week in and week out, looking great in the morning and pressing the clock. As I don't like the fact that he's breaking from post position 1 not a good spot for young horses. They sometimes don't break well. If he doesn't break well, he's going to be in for a tough trip because he's got a lot of speed, and if he doesn't break, he's probably going to be running up on heels. So, but my pick is One Tango Charlie. Kieran's horse, my second choice, and also Peter Island for Shug McGahee. This horse is akin to is by Tappet, also out of a Grade 1 place mare and half to the graded stakes horse Sightseeing. So a lot of breeding there. Kieran, Shug, maybe a little less likely to have one cranked up first time than Kieran, but he can certainly get the job done from time to time. And I wouldn't toss him. We'll watch the board, see how things play out. But I'm going with One Tango Charlie.
Now, hadn't number 6 Peter Island, hadn't he worked with Top Billing? I heard that he had worked at some point with Top Billing.
He might have. I don't know. You know, those things are going on up at Payson Park, and I get no reports there because the racing forum, we have coverage here and at Palmettos, but not at all 3 places.
Yeah. It's a very nice, a lot of well-bred horses in there. I also used number 3 Buck Magic, and from the David Fox barn. I thought I would give him a shot. That a couple of starts back just was too far, going a little too far. And even that latest start, I liked the horses he finished behind, including Ragtime, and that's another horse from the Shug McGahee barn. I thought he had some pretty decent fig sprinting on the dirt, and I thought I would give him a shot.
Yeah, he's the program favorite here, but I'm going to guess when the smoke clears, you're going to see the 1 of the 9 as the favorite, depending on who's got more steam coming out of their particular camps.
Yeah, I agree with you. On to the 8th race on today's card, and it is a 1.16 miles on the turf course. And we have it's an allowance optional claiming with a claiming price $100,000 and a few scratches in there. Number 1, 4, 13 through 15, and notably number 15 is Lochte. Lochte, who's going to be running. I spoke yesterday to Marcus Vitale, the trainer. Lochte won a Grade 1 here, the Grade 1 Gulfstream Park Turf handicap a few weeks ago, and he's going out to California to run in the
Gilroy Mile, I believe.
Yeah,
I believe
Gilroy.
it is.
Yeah,
it's raining an awful lot out there. I'm not sure when that race is, but
March 8th, I believe.
March 8th. So we've got another week for the turf course to dry out, but I don't know. I hope the horse likes softer ground because I'm not sure they're going to get that thing firmed up in another week with all the rain they're having out in California. Yeah, that was a significant scratch in here, as was old-time hockey. This horse, this race, an allowance race, drew a graded stakes caliber field. A little less now than before, but you still got Newsdad in here and a couple of others. One of them is Hangover Kid. I like the race he ran in the Red Smith in his last start. He was second to Imagining, and Imagining was second to Lochte in the Gulfstream Park handicap. He's been away, but he doesn't show many works, but that doesn't bother me. That's Jason's service. That's his style. He gets him fit somehow without working him too hard in the morning. So I took a chance in here with Hangover Kid. The price will not be 10-1 with the scratches that we've had, but he's just going to need a little pace help up front. I also thought Morotap, moving back to the grass, might offer some value in this one. I thought his race in the Commonwealth was sneaky good behind River 7 that day, but like Hangover Kid, he's going to need some help with the pace as well.
I used number 2, Calamosa, and that's from the Bill Mott barn, and was third last time behind a Reload, and Reload came back, won the Canadian Turf Handicap here last week, and I think I'm gonna stick with him. I'm gonna look for him to improve off of that effort. On to the 9th race on today's card, if we can get there, and it is the Grade 2 Swale Stakes, and very, very notable defection, Mike, and number 1, Havana, has been scratched, and scratched earlier this morning, and it was because of a quarter crack, so he was a Grade 1 winner. He's out, and it seems to just leave it to number 3, No Nay Never, who just seems to tower over these horses on paper.
Yeah, this wasn't a great betting race before the scratch because you had Havana and No Nay Never. Both were going to be short prices, and it was pretty difficult to separate them. Now it's an even worse betting race because No Nay Never is going to be 1-2 or 2-5 or something in that vicinity. And it's just too bad. I was really looking forward not only to seeing Havana run and get his 3-year-old debut, but to see him run with No Nay Never. You know, No Nay Never's been training incredibly. He looks incredible. Wesley Ward calls him the best horse he's ever had, and he is a monster. And I just think this horse will probably have no problem as long as he can break and get any kind of a trip. Can't Stop the Kid is doing really well right now. This horse continues to improve, coming off a sensational half-mile 5/8 work in preparation for this. But I just think No Nay Never is a pretty special horse, and I don't advocate taking a short price, but he's probably a single on a lot of tickets in all the multiple wages at the end of the day.
Well, just looking at what he's done, he won the Group 2 Norfolk, and that was at Royal Ascot, and that was last year in June, and then came back in August, won a Group 1, the Prix Morny, and that was at Deauville in France, and he did it so impressively. Saw him schooling the other day. He looks spectacular, and I agree with Mike. I think just for me, in any case, I wouldn't bet against him in that particular race. On to the 10th race on the card. It is the Grade 3 Palm Beach, and we do have a scratch number 13, Ring Weekend. It is 1 mile and an eighth on the turf course. And Mike, my top selection, I thought it was a pretty good betting race, even though I did go with number 1, Storming Inti from the Chad Brown barn. Has just been so consistent, has rattled off 4 consecutive victories, is going to be showing speed, and I just want you to tell me who else might be showing speed in there.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they'll show speed, but well, first of all, we've got a tape here both of Storming Inti, who's up front on the inside, reasserting himself after losing the lead here and coming on the win, and also Cabo Cat, who's the 12 horse today. He comes flying at the end of this race. I actually picked him in here that day. I thought his race prior to that was very good. He looked sneaky in here. He got too far back and couldn't catch the leaders, but he's going to have some extra ground today. He will have to try to bang out a trip from post 12. But if there is some pace in here, and it looks like there could be some, my Stormtrooper might entertain Storming Inti a little bit, and there might be 1 or 2 others. Gala Reward might show a little early foot. So Storming Inti, to me, obviously he's won 4 in a row. He hasn't done anything wrong. He's a question mark in 1 mile and an eighth, a question mark on the pace. So I will look for some value. Cable Cat would be one of them. I tried Pluven, though. It's Storming Inti's uncoupled stablemate. This horse has run once in the country, finished behind Mr. Speaker, but I thought he ran really well that day going 1 mile. Didn't break well, didn't get a great trip, was coming on nicely at the end. Should improve with the added distance, should improve with the race under his belt. Will be a decent price. I think Mr. Speaker can certainly win this one going back to the grass, coming off that experiment in the Holy Bull. He didn't run really badly that day. He was a little out of his element because they kept him closer to the pace than he probably wants to be, and then he got a little bit tired. But that race before that was sensational on the grass. Now, he did get a great trip. He got up the rail that day. He's got post 10 today. That might not happen. He may have to take an overland route. So this is an extremely competitive race, at least between the top 4 horses that we've mentioned. And so I've just looked for the value amongst those, and that would be Pluven or probably Cable Cat.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's plenty of horses in there that have a shot. And just looking on to the final race on today's card, it is a 5 furlong turf event. It is 25,000 allowance, optional claiming, and 1 scratch number 11. And my top selection in there, Mike, it looks like we went with the same horse, and that's a number 3, really sharp, and came back off a layoff. I thought that race was actually pretty good, that latest race, that he showed a little bit of speed, and he tired late, but that's expected. He came off a really long layoff.
Yeah, I thought this race was a nightmare because there's all speed horses in here. Everybody is at their best on the front end. The closes I don't think are good enough. But I did think this horse's last race was really good. He dueled Red Hot Randy for the lead and got tired. Red Hot Randy came back off that race and won on the dirt here last week. And this horse showed promise on the grass in a Grade 3 as a 2-year-old. So, again, it's just all trips, though. I don't know if he could get hooked up in a speed duel. He might wind up finding himself 6th or 7th in the run down the backstretch and have no chance. So he's going to have to work out a trip somewhere, hopefully up close, but without the knocking heads in a suicidal battle. So I agree with you, really sharp. Probably be a decent price, a little bit of a price anyway.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, that's it for today's card, and Mike Welsh will be back next week, of course. But Ron Nicoletti will join me later on this afternoon. And folks, we do have that Rainbow Six, and there is a carryover, $1.8 million. That starts in race 6. So, thanks, Mike.
My pleasure. Good luck, everybody.
And good luck, folks.